Hey everyone, my name is Toast. You may know me as Jibbles or Molochi, and I was recently banned for exploiting on nullscapes. I'm making this response video just to get out the whole story and background information out to everybody. I first started playing the game back on April 21st when my friend Nate introduced it to me, and he showed me Celestial gameplay, level 40 plus runs, and a bunch of videos on it, as well as the wiki. Which, speaking of the wiki, when I first started, that was literally my go-to. It had like everything, and it's how I progressed so fast at the game in the beginning. But when I would solo or just play the game in general in public lobbies, I kind of hit a wall around level 15 or 20. This was during my first couple of days of playing, and personally, I just didn't like being bad at the game. So my friend showed me that he was actually friends with Malachi, and had like 48 mutual friends with him, which I thought was pretty cool considering he was hailed as like the best no-skate player, and showed me some gameplay of him, and I actually got to join him at one point and some other like really high-level players when I started, and it really got me hooked on the game because I was able to see like their mechanics on like different classes like Charger, Diver, and Spirit. But most of all, divers really interested me. When I started out, I obviously was not that good, but the game was enjoyable and it was like really draining and tiring. For me at first, kind of because I was burning myself out with playing it a lot. But it wasn't as hard as other games I've played like Rocket League or Geometry Dash. But I just realized that I'd have to pour in a good amount of hours and focus time into this game. And the progression of the game is just very tedious in general, whether you're in like a solo lobby or in a public lobby. And eventually I caught up to my friend's level within the first week of playing, like within the first 4 days, maybe 5 days. And I was playing legit for those days until I realized that I'm still not as good as I needed to, and I had to progress way faster. So I decided to start doing a lot of solo runs, which I thought would improve like my mechanics and everything a lot. So I started off with solo casuals, but in my opinion, it was pretty easy and then compared to standard and extreme. It wasn't challenging at all at first, but it did really help me with learning certain entities and the curse pool in general. And I felt like I'd like lose my skill if I kept playing casual, so I switched over to standard, mostly because of trip mines and how that aspect of the game works, as well as other entities getting nerfed compared to other game modes. So during the first 4 days, I kept doing a lot of legitimate runs, and I didn't exploit it until about like the 6th, 7th day. For that, the furthest I got to solo was around level 18, with maybe like 20 to 25 hours on the game, on standard mode. And I started searching for videos of how good players would even play so I could try to understand their gameplay. Coming from a game like Rocket League or any difficult game, you always want to study like high-level gameplay and try to put yourself in those scenarios, see what they would do versus what you would do. And so, this made me a better player in general, but it kind of raised my expectations too high, and my goal to become as good as them and as fast as I possibly could. I kept scrolling through and found out there were scripts and exploits for the game, and I kind of got baited into using them. The first time I used them was on a public server, pretty sure, but I realized it looked way too suspicious, so I moved over to solo servers. So yeah, I used them. I'm not going to deny that. I just used them mostly for like start of my solo runs because I just genuinely hated playing early game, and whenever I joined servers from like levels 1 to 10, they were always like the worst experiences because everything just felt way too slow and it lowered the expectation of the game for me. It was just really tedious in general. But whenever you restart, you usually like have to go through the same process all over again, especially during the start of the levels from like levels 1 to 15. 99% of the time it's going to be the same exact picks every time. And I'm not kidding. And if you're actually in an organized run or doing a solo, you're going to start seeing like a pattern of just the game in general between those levels before it actually starts getting a little different. And so I decided to keep exploring at first. And the first class I used was Grappler. And To clarify, what I mean by exploits is that there's a certain script that disables other entities, like literally completely removes them from the game. And I would use that to start practicing chain swinging and other grappler techs. And disabling, well, like most enemies, aside from server-sided enemies like Guardians, Void Mound Guardians, etc., it basically let me use the game as kind of like a free play mode, which was helpful for learning certain techs and practicing my gift collection in general. And so I found a lot of joy playing Grappler, and I ended up spending about like the first 120 hours on the game just playing that class, but I soon stopped. I said that I only played like solo servers, but I played mostly public servers as well. And really, I played any server I was in after I like got the scripts. I was always exploiting, but it would be like different percentages of exploiting. Like I wouldn't 100% exploit everything and disable all entities. I was just trying to get better at the game myself, but because I built such a reputation, you know, it was like hard. Like for example, say you're like cheating in a class, right? Say you're cheating in math, and if you suddenly stop cheating, despite cheating the whole time to get to where you are, you're gonna look way worse. And at first I wanted to gradually stop cheating, and that's exactly what I tried to do. So I stopped destroying like certain entities at first. For example, I would destroy husks only and then leave all the other entities because I found it like tedious to go back and forth and change my movements, especially because later on during my solo runs I'd have entities like Husk Express, curses that would really be irritating for me. And you know, I disabled like Scrap Mana and Telefragger later on because they just keep making me change my direction, etc. So yeah, that's kind of mostly it for like solo runs. I casually stopped exploiting as much and try to focus more on my movements and mechanics in the game. I tried studying the game as well as I could. Usually I would do that for the first 20 levels with just exploits. I would just solo it, usually in Party Plus by myself. And that way it would just give me like a better economy in general. So I could like invite most of my friends, and doing it solo as well, I usually get to like level 20 as fast as I could with exploits. So that way, like from now on, I can practice certain aspects of the game. Like, for example, I try to practice Void Breakers with it. So I decided, oh, I'd go up to like level 20 and then get a couple Void Breakers on standard mode and solos, and I just keep practicing that. And that's what I did at first, but I just couldn't completely stop exploiting at the time because I was too scared. And that's because I built up this huge reputation with my friends and everyone else that I was just naturally amazing at the game. So if I were to stop exploiting straight up, they would see my actual skill drop and think I'm a fraud and just make fun of me. So like, in general, I don't really believe I'm that bad at the game, but that I was just relying on exploits to keep up appearances. To add on to this, I started hosting lobbies where I'd solo like the first 20 levels. I already said that. Just clarifying that. I would solo the first 20 levels with exploits, and then the rest I would do legit. Well, at least I was doing it legit until about today and a little early on yesterday. And so a big part of why I did this was because of Celestial. It was basically the main part I did this. In solo, I would do casual Celestial a lot. And what I mean by this is that I would exploit from levels 1 to 50, 1 to 40 at post hotfix, which is the only time I started playing Celestial. So I would just do level 1 to 40 with exploits on casual. And for Celestial, the thing is, you can't actually cheat on it. At least I didn't cheat on it, because my exploits do not have any cheats on Celestial. My plan was like to stop using exploits when I get Celestial, so that way I could record and actually beat Celestial legit. And using the shortcuts just to get there fast and get more experience with the fight was just something I was doing casually. And during this time, I did try to do fully legitimate runs to prove myself I could, but they just wouldn't end well usually. And I tried plenty of times doing solo runs with Party Plus. Completely legit, but the results just wouldn't turn out as good as if I were to do it with exploits. And in general, I hope you guys could understand my perspective on it. And to clarify, some clips of you might have seen, I'm pretty sure it was me getting jumps out of midair. That's just from a custom script that someone made and gave to me. And he created the original script that disables entities, but he gave me that script and I tweaked it around a little bit. And so it would be a keybind that would spawn like an invisible platform under me to regain my jumps and dives. You know, with this platform, obviously, when you land on a platform in the game, your acceleration starts to slow down, so it would also change my acceleration. I used it for that. And I was just playing around with it after feeling like a bunch of solo runs that I tried to do legit. And, you know, in general, it was just like yesterday. And so now, what's the plan for me moving forward, honestly? I'm not going to quit the game. And I just want to instead, like, focus on improving myself and really just proving myself to everybody out there. So I know exploiting in this game carries like a permanent ban that I can't appeal, and I know that making an alt kill is considered ban evading, but I'm going to dedicate myself to becoming a better player in general, to prove myself to everyone that I let down before. And, you know, I'm really sorry for doing this to you all. But moving forward, I'm going to record everything and improve purely my own skill. And, you know, this is really just a personal challenge for me. And I'm doing this completely solo with Diver. And I'm going to grind extreme solo until I can consistently prove I can hit. Well, not consistently, but until I can prove that I can hit level 34 extreme purely on skill. Just like I managed to do before with exploits. And, you know, this is kind of like a punishment for me. And, you know, it's going to take hundreds of hours probably to get there, but it's going to take a huge chunk of time, and I'm prepared for it. And, you know, I'll be putting in the hours daily to make this happen, and, you know, posting all the clips in general. And, you know, what you're seeing right now in the background is today's, like, video, I guess you could say. But every day I'll be recording an extreme solo run, and, you know, I'll just post it here. And that's just for me, really, just so I can see my own progression on this and try to catch up to other high-level players, I guess you could say. But yeah, you know, I'm really sorry to everybody for everything. And I probably would have been better off just not exploiting at all. But it's because of my own greed. But yeah, peace, everybody.